welcome back. Well, hey, today I got a special treat. I would like to show you how I make my Steacon, which is steak cooked like bacon. Now, you guys know me. Most of you guys are going to think, I mean, maybe not most of you, but most other people would think that, this is a great way to wreck good cuts of meat. And I'm not going to argue that. But you guys know that I don't really care for steak. I don't like don't really care for the meat, cooked rare. And I really like things crispy and kind of bacony. So this is a way to do an all beef bacon facsimile. Super simple. Now, when I use the word bacon, really, I'm only talking about it. It only refers to the way that I cook it. I don't do any special. There's no cure. There's no salt. There's no rub. There's no smoke. I keep it really simple, and all I do is just, I've said it before, but nothing like seeing it happen. But all I do is just slice the meat really thin, bacon thinness, and fry it in its own fat. And that's as easy as it's just that easy. You can cook it in a cast iron pan. You can cook it on the grill. The grill's a little hard. If it's in the flame, it'll burn pretty easily. If you can put a griddle on the grill, or I often fry it right on some foil on the grill. That keeps the mess outside. But cast iron griddle on the grill is my favorite. Cast iron inside works great. And the same way you cook regular bacon, you could cook it in the oven as well. So to slice it, it's a little tough to slice a steak, and especially when it's completely thawed. So the best way to get the thinnest slices is to freeze the piece you're going to cut, and then slightly thaw it or semi-freeze it, but at any rate, firm it up so you can get a hold of it and cut it. So I've got a couple of cuts here to show you what we're working with here. I got a ribeye roast, and I got a chuck roast. Now, you can do this with steaks or roasts. I tend to buy the roasts because they're always less expensive to buy as roasts. In this case, I bought a bone-in ribeye, and I just had them separate the bone and not tie it. And then I just slow cook the bone section, which I love, is really, really good. And that's a separate meal. And then I keep this section for making steak. And now what I'm going to do here, like I said, as my father said, Matt, you sure know how to ruin a good cut of meat. And I think most people watching this, if you don't know where I'm coming from, are going to be aghast as I destroy these lovely potential steaks. But that's how I like it, and I prefer it that way. And I'm here to share my story and share the way I do things because, I know that there must be others out there who will enjoy this and maybe even prefer it. Because I know if I had to eat ribeye, I wouldn't be able to do it. I just can't eat very much, and I don't care. I care for it. I'm starting to like it more and more. But it's hard for me to get very much down, and the fat does make me ill if I eat that much, if it's not crisped up like bacon. So, and I think I render a lot of fat out when I cook it like that. At any rate, let's get on with it. So what I like to do, if you get a whole steak, it's really tempting. When I was first doing this, it's really tempting to try to make big pieces and slice through the whole steak. But it's really difficult. And you just end up with a bunch of really odd little bits, and then it's fiddly flipping them over. It takes forever to flip them over in the pan and cook them all the way through and all that stuff. So what I've started doing is looking at this as if I'm really going to make bacon and wanting to get cross sections out of it that are relatively low, only about 1 inch. I want to cut it, I think about how I want to cut it. I want to slice this way. So I want my sections I want them to have some fat and some lean, and I want them to be about 1 inch or 1.5 inches thick and kind of long, so I can slice them so that when they're firm, they're not squishing under the blade, so there's not too much to cut through. If you try and cut through something that's too tall, it just squishes down. It's really tough. So I'll take a look at this and I'll go, well, how can I cut it into 1 inch sections? Bacon would look like that, right? Big, long pieces. But that's going to be hard to slice and a whole lot of lean. So I think I might just go kind of diagonal even and try and go like that. 1, 2, 3. They don't need to be strips. They just need to not be too tall. So what I'll do is I'll take my big knife and I'll put this thing on end, and I'll kind of just look at how I want to get those pieces out of it. And I think I'm going to make this piece down here kind of my guide and use that as my longest piece of bacon. Now it's kind of hard to cut when it's too long, so I don't want to do that. And I do want to share some of that fat with some of the other bits. So I'm going to cut it, I think, about like that, a weird little triangle. You need a good sharp knife for this, of course. So there we go. So when I slice this, I'm going to have these little strips of bacon that are like this triangle shape. So I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm going to do the next one, and then I'm going to put these in a little Ziploc or something and put them in the freezer for about, oh, they're pretty big, so probably an hour or so. You can see, nice piece of bacon there. And then this one, I think I am going to cut it one more time. I am going to end up with some fiddly little pieces, but if it's too tall, it's too hard to slice. And this piece seems to have a lot of fat all through it. So yeah, that'll be nice. Looks like bacon. And that one too. Okay, and then the chuck steak, we're going to do the same thing. So again, we want to slice it this way. And I want to get this fat kind of separated out. So I think I'm going to cut it across this, so this fat runs through the middle of these pieces. So something like that. Now these are probably going to fall apart once I cook them into separate little pieces, but that's okay. See? Bacony. So, okay, guys, I'm going to put these away for now. I'm going to put them into Ziplocs and stuff them in the freezer. And we'll come back in just a little while, and I will show you how they slice. Okay, see you soon. All right. Well, hey, gang. Welcome back. Now we are ready to slice. So I got this is just a little piece of ribeye, and it's pretty well frozen. So I can show you how it slices. So I'm going to come over here to the fatty side. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try and cut them about as thick as bacon. So we'll see how that goes. There's my first one. So you can see the edges are not quite thawed, or not quite frozen, excuse me. And they kind of squish out of the way. As I get to the middle, it should get a little more frozen. I've actually been thawing it for a while because it froze all the way. Pouring rain out there, by the way. Can you hear that? So I hope you guys have had a great week of all beef, burgers only. You know, I eat that pretty much day in and day out. And I gotta say, after a while, I really don't desire or crave or miss. You know, I don't have any desire for variety. I keep going to the store and thinking I'm going to get some cheese or something, and then I think, you know, I don't really want that. I like how I feel, I like how I look. Why would I mess with that for a little flavor? And to be honest with you, after a while, nothing really tastes as good as just plain old burgers. Or some Steacon. So I'm going to keep slicing this, and then we'll get to cooking. Hopefully you guys can see how this is coming. These are all less than a 1/4 inch, probably an 1/8 inch or so thick. 2 mil, maybe, something like that. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna light a fire and heat up the pan. It's pouring rain and windy out there, so I'm gonna do it just a little bit in a pan here to show you guys how it cooks. So give me a few minutes to get the fire heated up and we'll get to cooking. Okay, see you in a sec. Okay, gang, let's do some cooking. So fire just lit right off. I'm just gonna lay these guys into this cold pan, fill up all the room, and we'll start cooking. So can't cook much in a little pan like this all at once. This doesn't add up to a whole lot of food. So that's another reason why I like to do it outside. Okay. So pan's loaded. Got my little camera here. See if I can get some shots for you. Okay. There's a pan. Here's what our slices look like. And here we go. Let's do some cooking. Okay. One more flip. Oh yeah, so I like them pretty crispy. When you get to this last bit, just like with bacon, it's a pretty critical, seconds count. Things go pretty quick here. And this pan is really hot. My fire cooks super hot. Huh. You hear that? That's my leak. That's the roof leaking onto my stove. Rain from outside. Alright, so some of these guys need to come out of here. You gotta catch them right when they're done or they'll burn. And as you can see, if you do a whole lot of this inside, boy, you're going to make a big mess. A lot of grease splatters. I have a grease cover, but you know, it never seems to really do that great of a job. There's still grease everywhere for the most part. A lot of fat renders out. We end up with a lot of rendered tallow there that can be used later if you care to. Alright, well, not sure if you're going to find it appealing or appetizing or not. But that's what it looks like. Alright, you guys. Well, that's how you make Steacon. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you try it, and let me know if you enjoy it or not. If you like steak, you'll probably think this was crazy, but if you're like me and you don't like steak as much, maybe you'll love it. So, anyways, you guys, hope you have a wonderful week of eating beef only. Hope you're feeling great, and I want to say thanks a lot to Mike, Keto Omad, and to all the other participants, and hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'm going to see you real soon. All right. Thanks for watching, you guys. See you next time.